It was only a few days after Germany had surrendered in World War II that the British had begun devising a plan to turn on and invade the Soviet Union. The plan was dubbed Operation Unthinkable because the idea of invading your ally after they just helped you win the deadliest war in human history was truly unthinkable. However, in May and June of 1945, the plan was being devised and the tentative date for the Allied invasion of the Soviet-held parts of Western Europe was set for July 1st. Now, this was viewed as unfeasible for a bevy of reasons, one of them being that the Americans had begun moving a lot of their troops from Europe to the Pacific theater in preparation for a land invasion of Japan, which ultimately never happened. So at this point, the Soviet Union certainly had a man advantage in terms of troops on the ground in Europe, but the biggest advantage that the Allies had was that the attack was going to be a complete surprise. It's believed that the Soviet Union knew about this plot because Stalin chose to delay demobilizing their forces in Western Europe for months after the war. The relations between the Allies and the Soviet Union began to deteriorate pretty much immediately after World War II ended, and especially after the United States dropped the 2 atomic bombs on Japan without the Soviet Union having any idea that they had such weapons. It's interesting to think about what would have happened if such an operation took place, because at that point the United States had such an advantage in terms of manufacturing, and the Soviet Union had taken so much damage and lost so many men fighting Germany. In the months between when Germany surrendered in May and the Japanese surrendered in early September, the United States was actually worried about the Soviet Union possibly joining an alliance with Japan. However, as you know, the Allies did not invade the Soviet Union, and the Cold War began almost immediately after the Second World War ended.